He's a hustler, unbreakable, a people's person, and a future billionaire. This is The Hustler's Corner with Sbu Liope, well known to you and I as DJ Sbu.
Hello everyone, this is Buddha, straight out of Johannesburg in South Africa, and welcome to The Hustler's Corner. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. I think the first thing we do is go straight to that sharp sign on the count of 1, 2, 3, click, 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 click. Thank you, I appreciate it. Now the person I'm sitting with is not only an entrepreneur, a personality, but is a person who comes from the corporate world and who actually decided, I want to get into this entertainment space and go build myself and go build a career for myself. And I think we've seen her do that over the years, evolving into becoming this dynamic woman that she is becoming and that she is. She is a powerhouse, a businesswoman. She's very familiar to a lot of you guys on your screens. She's all over your phones. She's got a huge following of South Africans that love her work and just Africans at large and outside of the continent. And I'm one of those people that admire her because she's also an inspiration to a lot of younger sisters out there. Me being a father to a little baby girl, I look at sisters like her and I'm always like, yeah, there's a positive and a great future for our children because they look up to sisters like these. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Ayanda Thabethe.
Yay! Thank you. You've always been so kind to me. Can I be introduced like this all the time? That makes me happy. You know, when you speak about Wawa and that she could be looking at me and thinking, oh, that's what I would like to become. I'm sure she'll be greater, far greater, but it warms my heart. Yeah. Yeah,
Ngiyabonga kakhulu, and she's 7 years old now.
Yeah.
Going on 18 and
oh my God.
I was
Aren't all girls though? We all grow up so fast.
Yeah.
We are way ahead of our time.
Smart, very smart.
If we just cultivate that, we are powerful beings, you know.
What type of a little girl, let me say my daughter is 7. What type of a 7-year-old were you?
Sure. My family will definitely tell you that I was a talkative 7-year-old. I was talkative, I was inquisitive, I challenged my parents quite a lot. But mostly I was such a dreamer. Hey? My mom would describe me as somebody who lives in dream world. Because for me, whatever was going on around me didn't affect my thoughts, my headspace, my dreams. I wanted to be. I remember even as young as that age thinking, oh, I want to be like that. I want to be like the people on TV. And I didn't see any limitations. And I think that's such a powerful thing about being a child. Then fear doesn't exist in your mind. It's all about what you want to be, and that's where the full stop is. And that's the kind of 7-year-old child I was. I was very inquisitive, talkative, a dreamer, and I think that stayed with me actually for all these years.
And what type of a family do you come from? Did you have many siblings?
Sure, yeah. I come from a complicated family structure. Many siblings, only girls.
Oh, wow.
Only girls.
How many
My
girls?
mom has 5 girls.
5 girls?
5 girls.
Mathabethe.
Yeah. So in common, you know? And my mom and dad separated very young, and my dad has 4 girls. So it's quite crazy. I'm just surrounded by women, and that's my family.
That's incredible. Yeah. And when are you first, second, third, one?
I'm a middle child. Of course, which should explain why I ended up in entertainment, right? Yeah. Because middle children are always the go-getters, the fighters. They're always the ones that want the attention and want to be bold and take chances. I think it's that thing of cushioning, because you know you have your bigger sisters and your younger sisters. You're protected on both sides, so you want to go for all the things that you envision. So,
and this is in Durban?
This is in Durban, yes, Kwa Zulu Natal.
Okay.
Umlazi. But I mean, yes,
wow, I don't know.
In all townships, actually, in Durban, Kwa Mashu, Shayamoya, Ntuzuma. My dad stays in Ntuzuma. My mom and my grandmother stay in Umlazi. We stayed in Avoka. So I really grew up everywhere in Durban, I would say, yeah.
Because you know where we grew up has got a lot with the type of people we become.
Yes.
And I always say people like us have had a great opportunity to evolve from Elokshini into this other world. But meaning we are able to be streetwise at the same time and handle certain situations. Because I believe that's the best education you can ever get.
Yes.
Being streetwise. Yo, they were mushing a corner. Suga away now. Ikunikeza indlela ethile yokuthi ubuke umhlaba ngawo, as opposed to just staying only in the suburbs or having grown up in a certain place.
Yes.
Would you say maybe that sort of shaped you?
Yeah, 100%. I think it gives you the humility that you need to take through your life. I think it also gives the realness of life, and you can't be naive as to, when you get to different spaces, you experience them, you're like, well, this is great, but I know how life could also be, So you always have that reference and that point in the back of your mind, because this is how hard life can be. I mean, yes, life in the township is not all hard. There's also some beauty in the fact that we grow in communities that support us, that shape us. But it is also quite tough, to grow up in that environment, to survive it, and to become something, So even though I grew up in those kind of environments, I think it's what shaped me now. It shapes the ubuntu in me, the knowledge of who you are because of other people. It shapes a lot of things. It shapes you as a street smart person, and so many other dynamic things. I think all the dots always connect, and that's one dot that I feel like really shaped who I am.
Education. Yeah,
when I grew up, when I was younger, my mom always emphasized the beauty of education. And that's because, my mom was a nurse, has been a nurse for all these years. And it's not a career that she would have chosen, but it was a free education at the time.
Yeah.
So she got into it because it was free, not because it was her passion, not because it was something that she would have chosen willingly, And so education then became something so important for her to impart to us, to say, I can't give you much, but I can give you this gift, and you need to fly with it, you need to go with it. And the only tool she could really give us and really emphasize that we should have was the education, It was so important for her that we get educated, and I really thank her for that, because I regard education as the most important tool, especially for a woman. Yeah.
And where did you acquire your education?
Yeah, so I went to a high school in Kwa Zulu Natal called Sacred Heart Girls.
Oh, I know Sacred Heart. Okay.
Yes. And then from there, I went to the University of Pretoria. I have an undergrad in BCom Communication and Marketing. And then after that, I went to UNISA and I studied an honors in marketing.
Yeah.
So that's as far as I am educated.
And well done, you are very educated, and that's smart.
Thank you.
Any plans to take it further?
Oh, definitely. I want to really try and get an MBA. I was supposed to do it this year, but I felt like I really want the personal touch. I don't want to do it online. So I'm going to try and see if I can do that next year.
Now let's talk about your career, your working career.
Yes.
This is
so
where,
long.
Yeah, let's start talking then. And take your time, I'm not in a hurry.
Yeah. So my career is it's quite long-winded, and it's differentiated from a lot of people that you would meet. I think so after varsity, finishing my undergrad, I wanted obviously a marketing internship, to be a junior marketeer and all of that, but I wasn't finding a job. It was just so difficult. And then a friend of mine offered a PA position. He said, I have a position as a personal assistant. You can leave Durban, come to Joburg to do this, and I'll just help set you up, and you can do that, while you look for something that is more sustainable. And of course, I took the opportunity because I felt like at that point, if I stayed in Durban and tried to make things work from there, it might take me so much longer to move out of that space and to really get into the workspace and the workforce. So I took the job as a PA. I worked as a PA for 3 months.
Okay.
And in my journey as a PA, I just told myself, I am going to apply every day, or I'm going to do something towards the career of my dream. I'm going to apply, I'm going to talk to different people, I'm going to investigate different opportunities and use the equipment that is in front of me. I mean, I have a free laptop, I have a free printer, I have all of this stuff, a telephone. So I might as well use that to my advantage, to try and get something, because I knew that even though that was my start, it was not going to be my end position, my end goal. So actually the company was coming to an end. We're getting, it was actually closing down. And luckily I had an interview at Johnson & Johnson. So when I got to Johnson & Johnson, the interview was actually for medical devices and diagnostics. And in my mind, though, when I was thinking Johnson & Johnson, I'm thinking Vaseline, I'm thinking the cutest stuff. And I'm not thinking medical device. I don't know what that was, So I get to the interview, we speak about me as a person, and things that I've achieved and all of that. And then the HR director asked me, "Are you afraid of blood?" And I was like, obviously I'm in an interview, I'm like, no, I'm not afraid of blood. And I just didn't understand the context of what's blood doing. Yeah. And then they go on to further explain that, in this position you'll be exposed to working with doctors, with surgeons, you're going to be working in theatre, you are going to be experimenting on cadavers with the products that you have. So it's a really hectic career, and that's and has that component to it. And I was just like, I'm gonna take it on. It obviously wasn't part of my plans. I wanted to be in a fast-moving consumer goods kind of company, but it was a start. And that's always my advice to young people and to people that are starting, that you need to just make yourself available. Use what you can where you are. If you're trying to be a fashion designer, start with the boot of your car, start with something, because just because you're starting, you are telling the universe, you're communicating that I'm available to be used, I'm available to start the journey. And just because you're starting there doesn't mean that that's going to be your ending. And that's just a way to start navigating, to move, And so that's where my career started. I started as a marketing intern in marketing at the organization. And then I moved on to being a sales representative. I had one of the biggest areas that I was servicing in Johannesburg. I did very well at it. Yeah. And then there came a point where I was like, I was a senior in sales. I had done well in the company, and I just needed the next thing. And I really believe that your soul, your heart, your mind tells you when it's the next step, when it's time for the next step. It's either you obey that feeling or you walk against it. And I feel like your path becomes harder when you try to neglect your next, because a lot of people try to neglect their next. They're like, maybe I'm not ready, but everything in you is saying, move, this is the time.
And if that doesn't happen, Unkulunkulu somehow makes it such that you get forcefully moved. Because he's trying to take you to greater heights, right?
Somewhere else, yeah. And so I find that sometimes our greatest inhibitors are ourselves, our minds, our fear. And then in that point, I actually applied to a company called a pharmaceutical company, and the reason was I was trying to get to a fast consumer goods company, so the hair products, the soaps, the whatever. But before then, I couldn't jump from medical straight to there because the industries are so different. The way of doing things is so different. So the best way I could do it was to combine my medical and then go to a pharmaceutical company where you're selling to retailers like your Clicks, your Discounts, your different retailers, and you're selling products to them in order to move. So I had that goal in mind, but I had to have an interim plan.
Yeah.
So I moved to a pharmaceutical company, and actually my boss at Johnson & Johnson at the time was like, I know you're making a huge mistake. It's a huge company. Yeah. You're doing well. Where you're going, the company you're going to is not known. It's going to fail. Why, and there was real fear in moving. But I knew that if I didn't move, then I wouldn't progress, And so I went into this company, and sure enough, it was tough because this is a very new company. So when you go to your different retailers and you say, I'm from this company, they're like, from where? They're trying to tell us what? Whereas it was easy at Johnson & Johnson, because if I say I'm from Johnson & Johnson, everyone knows me, So it was really tough, and it was such a learning for me that a brand really, how you build your brand, how you build your name really carries weight and allows you to get into certain rooms, And so I did that, and I was getting retrenched. At the end of maybe a year, I was getting retrenched, and I remember the boss calling me and saying, Ayanda, the company is not doing as great as we thought.
I know those meetings when you're being so short.
When you're being so short, but nicely. Yes, and they're like, the company is not doing as great as we thought it would. It's not growing as fast. I mean, the company is quite sustainable. It's still around. It's doing well. But they had to restructure at that point in time, and I was part of the people that were being restructured. So in that moment, I started applying again, and I was like, okay, this is the time where I can actually apply for what I actually really want to do. So then I was like, I need to know somebody that's at L'Oreal. I need to find out who can get me into that door. And I literally applied on that day when I was being told that I'm being retrenched. And I kid you not, about 4 or 5 hours later, after I had sent that email, I got a call from L'Oreal.
Wow, okay.
On that exact same day. And they called me for an interview. So, of course, I went to the interview. They loved me. Of course, I told them, I would be a junior in marketing. As much as I've studied marketing, I'm a senior in sales. I understand sales, I understand distribution, I understand people on the ground. I get that, because I've done it. But from a marketing branding perspective, I was still a junior. And that was the position I was applying for. I was applying for a junior marketing job. And so I got the job. And as when I got the call that I had got the job at L'Oreal, my other company, Lisa, they're like, no. So it was between the two candidates to retrench, and actually we want to keep you. And I was like, you're a bit too late. I am out. And so I told them that, I had gotten a better opportunity, and that an opportunity that I really wanted to explore.
And how old are you at the time?
I think I was maybe like 26, 25.
So you move on to the next level of your career.
Exactly. Yeah. So then that's the other lesson I learned, is that sometimes in order to move forward, you have to take a step back. Because I had a huge salary cut because I was a senior in sales, but I was a junior in marketing. So I had to operate at a junior level in order to get to the brand management level I wanted to get into. And I remember when I was at Johnson & Johnson back in the days, I said, God, if I can just become a brand manager of a fast-moving consumer goods company by the age of 28, I'd be so happy. But now I'm getting into this career and I'm a junior. And I worked hard. To the point where I was promoted in a year, in the space of a year. And the manager at the time was like, why do you think you can be a brand manager in a year? And I said, please tell me what a brand manager does that I don't currently do in my role as a junior. Yeah, because I made myself indispensable to the point where I wanted to do everything that a brand manager does to prepare for that interview. So that when you ask me why I deserve it after a year, I could say it's because I do everything. It's just that we have a different title, but I do everything that this person does. And because of that argument and because of the results I had gained in my first year as a junior, I was promoted. And I remember being 28, being a brand manager at a fast-moving consumer goods company, something that I had spoken about back then when I didn't even see how the trajectory was going to happen.
So you manifested it, right?
Yes. And that's the power of speaking things into life. In fact, when I reached that, I was just like, damn God, I should have dreamed bigger. Maybe I should have dreamed of my own organization.
And isn't it that whatever you dream of, whatever you ask from him, you already have it?
You already
It's just up to you at the level of your
faith.
Advocating. The level of your hunger as well. Because you ask for this much, he'll give you this much. You ask for that much, he'll also still give you
and
that
the level of your readiness. When you ask, you have to also, I always say the most important prayer after you ask for what you want is, help me to be ready for when it comes. Because so many people actually receive the blessings that they ask for, but when it comes, they squander them because they were never ready.
I totally agree with you. And you know what I always say, Mina Ayanda, is when abantu abaningi sithandaza wrong, siyamcela uNkulunkulu wathi asibethembi. I always say it's faith. Like themba ukuthi whatever you're asking for, you already have it. So I always say, how I pray, my model of prayer is ngiyabonga. Ngibonga sengathi lento le engifuna ukuyicela sengayo. Yes. And for me, I believe that's a right way of praying. Because automatically you're conditioning your mind to be ready for it. Because you're assuming you already have it. And you're convincing yourself, right?
I've always believed in visualization. I believe that you have to, even in the Bible it says, call the things that are not as if they were. As if they already are, as if they're already happening, Faith is not the substance of things that are, seen. It's things that are unseen, but it's a substance of them.
Yes.
Imagine that's a contradictory statement. It's the substance of something you cannot see.
But it comes with the word, the action.
The action, And then it says, faith without works is dead. You have to have the works behind the faith, Because I love what TD Jake says. He said something so powerful that never left my mind. And I think it was a clip on social media. He said, if you build it, God will bless it. But you must build it.
Yes.
Because what vehicle are you giving God to bless if you're not building it?
You're just clapping your eyes.
Yeah, because we're not in a space where God is just dropping things from the sky. No. So you need to build a vehicle for God to bless. You know? And that vehicle comes with like whatever that you feel, you love, you want to do. When you create that thing for God to bless, God then blesses it. But if you're sitting and thinking, oh, I would really like to do this and that, and you're not doing anything about it, well, God is like, give me a channel and let me bless it.
So you're 28 years old. You've got this amazing responsibility at L'Oreal.
Yes.
That every girl in the world would love to be a part of that amazing company. Because I guess the beauty industry is very popular all over the world and it's highly inspiring.
Yes.
But it's also highly competitive.
Yes.
I can imagine some of the things that you've learned there that are working in your favor right now. But what I want to know is the journey into the entertainment business, the media business.
Yes. Firstly, I must say, that's something else Steve Jobs said. He said the dots connect. They really do. Because in all my careers as a salesperson, as a pharmaceutical rep, as in marketing, I learned the value of waking up from 9 to 5, being responsible to someone. I learned how to be punctual. I learned how to do presentations. I learned how to be really pedantic about my work, and really pay attention to everything, to detail. I learned how to market products. I learned all of that, and when it came to my entertainment career, I could apply all of that. And how that happened.
That's what I want to know.
Yes, definitely.
Because I'm sure you're beautiful. You're probably being told all the time, well, hey.
Yes.
Like what?
So that actually,
TV?
that actually used to happen to me. So when I was in theaters, sister theater, but when but it stopped, and we should be somewhere doing something big, and I was like, I'm going to do it, and throughout my life I've had people just say to me, stop me and my mom, on the road saying, you should go for Miss South Africa. Why is it too short? Even in Durban. And then they just came. So during my time in my 9 to 5, during my lunch breaks, I used to go for auditions. I got into agencies. I got into Anushi. I got into Gano.
Shout out to Gano.
Yes.
All of us, we are who we are because of your contributions as well.
Yes.
There's a lot of us. I think more than half of the industry.
Yeah, that was actually my first agency.
Same
Gano
here.
was my first agency, and then I went on to Anushi as well. But I really, during that time, I went to different castings, and I do adverts, I do print work, I do all those little roles, And then there was a time when I graduated to getting small little roles, I'll be an extra on Generations.
Yeah, same here. But you a big camera cut. Action. I was a journalist.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, you did extra work as well.
I did extra work.
Now I'm it's TV Generations.
I had a featured extra role where I said one sentence in Generations, literally, and I was like, oh my god. So I did that. I did a feature on, I think it was a production called Tooth and Nails.
Yeah.
And I was a pregnant woman, a little what was it? It was this pregnant teenager who had just been chased out of the house by her parents. I did that. And then I did another role where I was a detective alongside Gail Mabalani. And we're these two budding actors, and we're in this thing. And so I did all of those little jobs. And so when I was a brand manager now at 28, I get a call that Connie Ferguson is looking for me.
Oh wow!
Yes.
You gotta be kidding me.
Literally, Connie Ferguson is looking for me. She was asking about me. I think she even tweeted something to say, hey, I'm looking for a number. Please do get in contact with me. And I'm thinking, what could she possibly want from me? And anyway, we eventually get in touch, and she says, I am starting season 1 of Rockville.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yes.
Is that how it happened?
That's how the whole thing went down. And it was an accumulation of all the little jobs that I'd done. And because I had done that little role, that feature role with Gail, she then asked Gail, because she knew Gail through the industry, she said, what do you think of this girl? And she said, I think she's great. We have worked together and this and that. And so, and that's why I think it's so important to treat people well, to be a good person, to give off your best energy, because you never know what one opportunity could lead into. And had it not been maybe for Gail's validation at that time, I'm not sure if Connie would have wanted to proceed with what she was thinking. Anyway, this opportunity was in front of me. There was this role. Actually, I think it was Mbali's role that she ended up taking. But
which Mbali?
But Asian Valley.
Oh, yes.
So Connie says, Ayanda, I want you to be part of season 1. This is what we want to do. I go back to work, because I'm still a 9 to 5, right? I go back to work, guys. I need 17 days off. I need to, this is my big break. And they were just yes, they were like, no. We are launching a new brand at that time. I'm a brand manager. We're launching a new brand. We cannot afford to lose you for 17 days. And I had to let that opportunity go.
You gotta be kidding me.
I let that opportunity
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. And imagine you getting on and this is the thing. This is a new series. You don't know if it's gonna extend. You don't know anything. So also you think about security. You're not sure. You know. Then in that same year. Pons calls me, they're like, we want you to be our new brand ambassador.
How does Pons know now? Oh, with the L'Oreal.
But also because of the small little roles that I've been doing.
Oh, yes. Your name in the industry is starting to be whispered about.
Yes. But I can't do it because I'm stuck in this organization and it's a competitor. I cannot be a face of this, working with this.
Yes, I get it.
So eventually I got so many of those opportunities that I had to pass by that I decided in 2015, I was like, I'm done. I was like this, I'm a senior in marketing and sales. I have a really good track record in the corporate industry. And if I need to come back, I can just dust my degrees, dust my experience and say, please, I need a job, you know? Yeah. And I was like, this is the time to take the leap of faith. And the first call I made was to Connie Ferguson. And I said, listen, I am free and available.
And this is what, like a year later now?
This is like, a year or so later. And I say, I'm free and available now. And if you'd like to use me, please, I need to be part of your productions, whatever production it is. And she said, we actually have a role.
Wow.
Season 4.
He was lucky. No, they got you.
Yeah, so that's how it started. Season 4 of Rockville. I had a role. I was nervous as hell. I was playing Aliyah, who was this struggling girl coming from a township who had to be a stripper because she had to fend for her family, feed her brother, and yeah, that's how I entered the dynamic world of entertainment. My very first gig.
What an interesting story.
Crazy, hey?
Yo, Shayamoya, this is Connie for the work
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, what you guys are doing. For a lot of our brothers and sisters out there, may God just continue to increase you guys. Amazing story. 100%. I didn't know that's how you started.
Yes.
Okay, you get in through acting now.
Yes.
So I got in through acting as well.
Oh my God.
Yes, I did Izo, I did Generations, I did It's the More.
Yeah.
And then I did commercials, I was with Gaynor as well,
Yes.
I know a lot of people don't know that now because I don't act anymore. But I got in through acting. But look at a whole lot of other array of things I've ended up having to do. So you got in through Rockville, and then tell me how it unlocked other opportunities.
Yeah, so then from Rockville days, I mean, also the social media world was also, growing as well. And my social profile was actually kind of surprisingly good, and people were starting to follow me, like me, talk about my character. Some liked it, some didn't. And then I got a call. It was literally a call. I got a call from BET.
Wow.
BET A-list. They were like, we're looking for somebody who's up and coming. That's a fresh face that not a lot of people know. We're going to be pairing you up with somebody who's very well known. And we are starting the show. It's a lifestyle show. It's the first lifestyle show on BET. And we'd like for you to come in for an audition. And of course, I was excited, I was ecstatic. My shooting with Rockville had finished as well. So then I went for that. And I went to audition. And Nandi, my Dita, was also auditioning. And we got the job.
I remember
together.
that show, yes. You guys actually even gave me an award.
Yes,
humanitarian award at that event at the West Cliff.
Yes, 100%. So we did that show together. Then from that show, then I was also still looking, because that show was good for me, but I felt like it was just missing that. Firstly, the audience, BT at the time hadn't really built the audience. I was still young and I was still feeling like I need to do more. And luckily for me, I also found that Top Billing was looking for people. I contacted
Top Billing. Then the Top Billing gig, yeah.
I contacted Top Billing. They were interested in seeing me on camera, seeing what they can do.
So you contacted Top Billing?
Yes, okay. I contacted them. And the thing about a lot of people don't know is that people wait for the call. They wait. And sometimes you need to know, okay, I'm in this space now. I can be doing multiple things. Let me try something new. And that's why I contacted them and I said, I've looked at this show for all my life and I've been wanting to be a part of it. Is it possible that you can just get me on camera? I'd love to see. I think
you're brave, yeah? Is it possible you can just get me on camera?
Yeah, just get me on camera. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. The worst anyone can say is no.
I say no.
Yes, no. You don't like it, then it's done. Okay, cool. That I tried and it didn't work out. They called me for an interview. I did an audition. It went really well. And then they called me after and they introduced me as a new face of Top Billing.
Wow, I remember that.
Yeah, and the thing is with Top Billing at the time, they were looking for so many presenters because when you get into Top Billing, you get so many opportunities outside the show that you actually don't have time to shoot the show.
Oh, wow.
Which is literally what happened to me. So by the end of Top Billing, I was shooting everything else and I literally was shooting Top Billing once in 2 months because you don't get time because it exposes you so much to clients and you become a sort of the speaker, MC, all of that. And those are the type of jobs that I was starting to get after that.
Those type of jobs are challenging. I mean, I remember any entertainer, a lot of us evolve and we move on to the next level. And when you evolve, also, it has to do with your appearance, your brand, what you represent, what you stand for, etc. Now, you have been a part of Top Billing, you've been a part of BET.
Yeah.
You are becoming a household name in the country. The next move.
Yeah.
Because I know you can't go any lower than that. You're starting to even dream or big. Your confidence is growing.
Yes.
Because you keep getting these gigs and you keep getting exposed into these environments. And these environments are introducing you to a world that you've always aspired to be in.
100%.
You are being even more inspired now.
Yeah.
So how inspired are you to want to do the next thing and what was the next thing?
Look, I was so inspired. And that was last year. I think Top Billing ended last year, if I'm not mistaken. And I was so inspired. I had gotten to a point where I had really gained a lot in a very short phase of time. Because if you think between 2015 and 2019, that's 4 years.
Yeah.
And I had been the face of Legit, I had been the face of Ponds, I had been the face of Mizani, I had done so many things. And then on a TV perspective, I had gotten all these shows. I was kind of feeling like, what is it that's next? Really, if you're on the biggest lifestyle show in the country, what do you do?
I remember now the Top Billing gig. That's why you didn't join Massive Metro.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because I went to recruit her when we were starting the radio station. We had a meeting.
Yeah.
And then I remember when you were like, thank you for the opportunity, thank you for the offer, but I can't.
Yeah.
I've got such a big thing which I can't tell you about now. And then later on, you were so kind enough to then come back and say it was actually Top Billing. I couldn't say at the time. But thank you for the opportunity. Now that is exactly 3 years ago because Massive Metro is 3 years.
Yeah.
Since then, your star has just been rising and rising and rising and rising.
Yeah.
I've just been admiring everything you've done. Sorry, I've just come in there to step on my because I just remembered it was around that time. Because she was supposed to have been on radio and she was gonna be on radio. Are you still gonna be on radio one day?
I will be, yes.
When the time is right.
Yeah, when the time is right. I am starting a podcast actually, but with my sister. We are calling it My Sister's Keeper.
Lovely.
But radio is something that's in the plans, but I think that it's something that's in the pipelines,
Podcast is as good as radio.
Podcast is as good as radio. But I think, we'll see. It's a very scary space for me because I haven't been a part of it. But I know that I do have a lot to say. I have a lot of information to share, and I would love to, at some point, get into that kind of space. But after Top Billing, I you know what? One of the things I must mention is that I never went back to acting.
Oh yeah.
I was so scared. It's such an intimidating space to be somebody else. I found that I do me better than being somebody else, you know. And so
Same
I
here. That's why I have not acted ever since.
Yeah.
But man. Now I look at it, I'm like, I'd love to do 1 or 2 projects, you know.
Yes.
Bob Dumarandlov, the great Bob Dumarandlov once offered me an opportunity. I was like, but no, not now, sir. But maybe now we can talk, sir.
Yes.
Because when I'm like that, now I'm driven. I always want to do the next thing, you know.
Yes. So for me, if the right character comes along at the right time, maybe I will do it. But you know, that's
but you've got the skill. You can do whenever you want to. Yeah.
So what did I do next? I just know now that I have a new show that's on DSTV that is just about celebrating African creativity, that's celebrating the people at the forefront of African creativity, all the artists, all the everyone really, like from cook, from design, from architecture, from all of that, to profiling people that are doing amazing things within the African landscape regarding the creative realm. And then, I've got a couple of projects coming up, you know, and now I'm just in a space where I'm trying to evolve into a longevity aspect. I don't want to be looking from job to job to job. Obviously with TV, it's always going to be like that, but it's my anchor. I've always believed that as an entertainer, you have to have something that's your anchor. What are you known for? Who are you? And for me, that's being a TV host. I love it. It's something that I thrive in. I love, you know, getting to know different people, talking, exploring. And that's my anchor. So I always have to have a show, and that's my base. But what I do outside it is then the business aspects and all of that.
What inspires you?
What inspires me is just being the best person that I can be. It's emptying out my talents. It's pouring out into the universe. It's leaving that name, that legacy that people will follow on. It's those children that look at me and think, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was possible, but she did it, so it must be possible. She comes from the exact same background I come from, and look where she is. That inspires me. My sisters, people that are around me, that look to me, my younger sisters that look to me and they see me going and achieving all those things, that inspires me. But I think the biggest inspiration for me is I would really love to leave this earth knowing that every ounce of talent, of hard work, of anything that I have in me that God gave me as a gift was poured out, and I did the best that I could with it. Yeah.
But then, being a media independent contractor, you're an entrepreneur. You're responsible for your own journey, your own decisions. You might have a team or teams that you work with currently, but it didn't start off like that. You didn't have teams in the beginning. But the skills that you had acquired earlier helped you to be able to navigate, to do your own things in the beginning, right?
Yes.
And I want you to share around how have you monitored or witnessed how other entertainers do their thing, and then vis-a-vis you when you are now in it, before you started getting all these teams. How were you navigating behind the scenes, being responsible of your own work?
And that's a funny thing, actually. You think that I have teams. I do not. It's me, myself, I don't. I tried that whole thing. So when I started entertainment, which is why I was talking about the dots connecting and getting all those skills that I got from a corporate job, I was really interested because when I started, I had a press pack. So a press pack, I had a diary with my face on it. I had visuals that I had created that I put into a little USB stick. I had a pen. I had so much of those things in press pack, and I went physically to media houses, to different companies to just introduce myself. Things that people hadn't done in entertainment before. And how I knew that is because usually when you introduce a brand, when you introduce a product, I was selling dark and lovely at the time when I was in Korea. So I was like, if I can do this for a product, why don't I just do this for myself? To introduce myself, to say, here I am, I'm a new face, feature me, and these are my photos. So that you don't have to search, you don't even have to search for photos. I got you. Yes, exactly. So that's what I did. I had a press pack. I took myself seriously before anyone could. And that's such an important thing. If you know what you want and where you're going, you have to take yourself seriously before anyone starts taking you seriously. So I started off by marketing myself, and then I thought, okay, you know, I'm a bit stuck in terms of how do I really progress with this brand and go further with it. And then I employed people. But then I really started to feel like, because work was really coming in, and we weren't having to look for work anymore, that the people that I employed got lazy. They got lazy in terms of they're getting their 20% from whatever I make, and they're not going out to look for jobs. So if I already have this thing coming in my mail, why are you getting 20% for it? You know what I mean?
So you have to make a business move.
So I had to make a business move. And then I experimented with like a lot of different people. I firstly felt like they were trying to make me seem or feel like I'm everybody else. They couldn't really get what was my differentiating factor. Then if you're not well positioned, then you're not going to move forward because you don't have a strategic direction of where you're going.
Yeah.
So if you, as my manager, do not have a direction as to where you want me to be, and maybe we don't even agree on it, then we can't work together, because there has to be a certain vision in mind. So then I started getting all of those kind of issues with different people. Then it was the laziness and like different things. And then I decided, you know what, I have the skills, because sometimes we start doubting ourselves. We start thinking, maybe I don't know how to do this. Maybe I do need somebody to do this for me. And I started feeling that when I took ownership of who I am, where I'm going, what I'm trying to build, and I started saying, if this thing doesn't work, it's all on me, then that's when it started to really work. And that's when I was starting to take responsibility for my clients, for my work, for everything that I do, for my positioning, and for the things that I accept and the things that I decline, you know, because they're equally important into shaping who you become. And so I took it to my own hands, and then I had, I employ people, so I employ a PA, and if I need strategic direction on something, then I'll employ somebody for that time, for that project, and done. And on contract basis, rather than having team who's just sitting and waiting for the next email and then nothing is happening. So I found, for me, the recipe that has worked and that worked for me was just taking things into my own hands.
So take it into your own hands, hustlers out there. This is your life at the end of the day. Even when you're doing well and you've got a team, unfortunately, sometimes you get to find that some people in your team are just basking in the glory of the greatness that is happening around you. That is if or when you are successful, you'll get to experience. And what I was saying to her is she's had to make a business decision to unfortunately let go of certain aspects of whatever was, I don't want to say hindering her, but that was a part of her environment. So it's very important for me to emphasize again, would take it with your own hands upon you. It's your future, it's your business, it's your everything, it's your money, it's your time, it's your energy. So you gotta put yourself first at times, as much as we have to be unselfish and think about other people. But when you are in business, unfortunately, sometimes you have to make those unfamiliar decisions that might be harsh to other people, but you have to take things into your own hands, my hustlers. And I appreciate the fact that she's even sharing to say, no, I don't even have a lot of teams. I don't even have teams. I only employ people when I need to do so. Because other people, they don't need to have services internally within their businesses. Yeah. But they can outsource whenever they need to, right?
The only permanent staff I have is my attorney.
Yes.
And that's important because I get contracts on a really permanent basis. So I have to have somebody looking through those. And I made that decision very earlier on that I would rather lose money or spend money paying for my attorney, paying for her to go through things, so that I don't lose money further down the line.
Big money
down the line. So I've really been fortunate in that sense that I've always had a legal arm in everything that I do. So that's very important.
So hustlers, she's just dropped another gem again. Attorney. Guys, you gotta have a good attorney and a good accountant.
Yes.
If you don't, no matter how great you are, you can be with numbers or your legal work, your legal game is on another level. You need professionals to do that for you, especially attorney and the accountant, right?
Yes.
Because they get your books in order as well.
100%. But in having said that, my attorney always commends me to say that I love the fact that even before you give me the stuff, you've already read it. Because as much as they are going to do their best, you are the person still responsible at the end of the day. You have to be accountable. You have to read your own contracts if there's something you don't understand, you have to sit and try and make sense of what is being said, so that even though the attorney has gone through it, they've read through all the fine print, you also have understanding of exactly what it is that you've gotten yourself into. So it's important that exactly what you're saying. It's important that you are the first stop and the last stop of your own brand, of your own business, and you need to be the driving force. Unfortunately, when you have a small business and a business of managing yourself, you are everything to yourself. You are the PA, you are the everything. You are the driver, you are everything, and you need to just make sure that at every point your excellence shows through in everything that you do.
I like that. Your excellence shows in every little thing that you do.
Yes.
From the way you greet people, the way you carry yourself, the way you dress.
Yes.
The way you behave on camera, off camera, etc.
It adds
it's your greatness. I mean, all those little things.
All the little things matter, because all those things come to, they create a brand. They create who you are. They create how people perceive you, because it is a matter of perception. Sometimes things that you see in entertainment, they are things that are created, the strategy behind how you dress. Because when you dress a certain way, it's not frivolous, it's part of your brand. So because you dress a certain way, you then win certain awards that put you in certain rooms, that put you in certain conversations. It all goes hand in hand with everything that you do.
That's incredible. And I'm sure a person like you reads.
Yes.
What are you currently reading?
I am currently reading The Art of Hustling.
Ayanda Thabethe makeup your man.
I know.
I'm kidding.
No, what am I reading at the moment? I was actually reading, I'll tell you now. What is this book?
And some of the books that you can recommend that you've either read last year or recently.
Look, I read, but I'm not much of a reader. I'm more of a person who listens to podcasts. I really love. I like it when I can drive somewhere and listen.
And still get the content. That's part of reading.
Yes. But I read the Bible a lot. I believe in the Bible.
Yeah.
I read books that pertain to spirituality and growth. I really believe that 7 Habits of Success, all of that, yes, you can read it. But I think when something is tied to a story, when something is tied to how somebody did something, those kind of things really attract me. I remember reading Maya Angelou's book, The Caged Bird, and that book really touched me, how she navigated her own life, her own story. I love Oprah's book, where I think she says it's an accumulation of all the aha moments. Things that she has learned. I love that book. I've read it so many times. So for me, when something has a story behind it, and it really speaks to me in terms of just navigating, understanding, that's how that person did it. That's the point in their lives that they navigated through. And that's how I can do it as well.
And there's a book that I want to give. Actually, I think I told you about it. But yes, this book. I'm just recommending this book for all of you guys out there, not only a hustler, just anybody that is in personal development. You just want to win at this life thing. There's a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It by a lady called Florence Scovel. She was born in the late 1800s and she passed on in the early 1900s. Brilliant book.
Yes.
So we bought you this.
Thank you. I absolutely cannot wait to delve into it. I'll definitely be reading this. This is the second time you've mentioned this book to me.
Oh yeah, an incredible book.
We worked together 2 weeks ago.
As recently,
very recently, and you mentioned this book. So I actually wrote it down. So I'm glad that I'm getting it.
And it's a quick read. 1-2 hours you'll be done with it. Very quick. Are you thinking of sharing your story in the future? Because you've got such an inspirational journey, and it's still the beginning. You're still very, very young.
I might. I learned never to say never in this journey. I do have a lot of imposter syndrome, where I think, have I accomplished enough to share this story? I think entertainers have that. I think it's something that we just have,
But share the story though.
But I speak, now I'm sharing my story, I speak to different people. I don't know if I'll ever put it in a book. Maybe I will. I'll see when that time comes. But I'm doing so many incredible things right now that I do think that people will want to know the back end of why. Why did you do that? Why at that point in time? And I think maybe I'll be inspired to put it all on paper.
And one of those great things, and I don't know, you might want to talk about it right now, is a project that you are working on that's going to be empowering a lot of young people.
Yes, it's called A Beautiful Mind. that's the project. And for me, it was because I've always wanted people to see beyond my surface and look at my mind. And I've always thought that I embodied a beautiful mind. Yeah. And I wanted other young people to embody beautiful minds as well. And so I came up with this project because I was inspired by someone in my high school, alumni who came to my high school, and I was really struggling with what to do. I didn't know what to do in terms of my career, in terms of where to go next. I knew the kind of qualities I had, I knew the kind of woman I wanted to be, but I didn't know how that translated into a career and what career that would be. And so when she spoke about being a marketing person and what she does, I was like, that's what I need to do. And that's how I went into studying marketing. So now I'm creating something similar for young people all over to identify with different people in different spaces with jobs that are not usually profiled, so that they can identify themselves and somebody else and say, that's what I want to do. And just avoid making these mistakes of what to choose, later on in life, and changing and chopping and changing careers and all of that. So I'm hoping to help every South African young person to make the right career choice the first time around.
That is great, and I'm sure you also, it's going to exist online in this digital world.
Yes, it's going to exist as an app.
Lovely.
A mobile app, which is absolutely exciting. We will have a website that's just for reference, but the main thing is going to be the app. It's going to also embody mentorship programs, bursaries, and all of those things just together in one compartment.
That's incredible, and that's just now.
Just now. That's my first big project. I have other two that I'm working on that I can't talk about at the moment. But now I'm looking to things that I own. I have been the face of brands. I've represented multiple brands for big organizations, and now it's my time to be the big organization. It's my time to give employment to other people. It's my time to spread my wings. It's my time to own things that I can pass on to my future generations. And I want to leave a legacy of an entertainer that became a powerhouse, and a powerhouse in the context of ownership and things that can help other people, that can be passed down, that can be spoken about, As entertainers, I don't want to just leave that, she did a great job as a host, she hosted, yes, and that's beautiful, that's part of my narrative. But the bigger part is that with that, I want people to say she did something great with what she was given.
You're such an inspirational person that when you put in your energies in what you do, you get to do so well. But doing so well as well ends up keeping you so busy that do you even have a personal life?
I'm so sorry. I was thinking about this today. Before I left for this meeting, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I really don't have time to myself. Lately, it's been really, really busy. But busy is good. I think God gave us the break during COVID. He said, okay, stop. Think about what you want to do. And we've been praying for these times when we were busy, And so I appreciate it, I welcome it. And I do have a personal life, and my personal life has to work around my busy.
Yeah.
It has to work around the things that are of my purpose, Yeah. So I have understanding friends that understand that I have a place to go, and they need to be, my fighters next to me, and they need to understand if I'm available, if I'm not. But as much as I can, I pour into the people that are around me. I make time. But I think it's so important to surround yourself with people who know that you have a place to go and who are just behind you and who understand that you not giving them time is serving your longer purpose, but it will also serve them as well in the long term. Yeah.
And I'm sure you also surround yourself with people who are also driven in their own right. So they're also busy and they understand.
Exactly. My friends are driven. I've got diverse friends from diverse backgrounds. And they're doing their own things. They're busy, they're getting their lives, and they're doing powerful things in the spaces that they occupy. So I think it really makes sense to surround yourself with people who have a similar mindset to you, because it really eliminates the thing of, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you? It's like, no, we're busy.
Now we're busy.
Now we're busy. Yes, exactly. So
your family understands.
My family completely understands. I've just always been this person. I'm a lone ranger, and I go for the things that I want. Yeah. And I've just always been like that. I can only say that's a God-given divine nature of me that God gave me from I don't know where. But it's just always. I remember I was young, but I could see a world beyond what looked like what I could see around me, you know, and because of that, and those are the dreams that keep me accountable, you know, and my family has always understood that. They understand that. Also, I mean, the things that I do feed back into my family. I help my family as far as I can. And so they understand that in order to have that quality of life, to do those kind of things for them and to be able to be like with them and to do good things for them in that way, I have to exert myself in terms of the things that I'm doing. Yeah.
And if your family understands and it boils down to your partner, does he understand?
Exactly.
I just want to know if he understands. Because you know what happens? We're in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
So sometimes we either date one another because we're in the same space, or we date people who are outside of the industry, are doing well in their own right.
Yeah.
But sometimes these two worlds I've seen, because I've dated both in and out.
Yeah.
Sometimes other people, they feel like they don't understand, you know, and sometimes it clashes.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to put you in the spot here, but I'd like to know how you navigate that space.
Let me think. Look, I'm in a new relationship.
Yeah.
Very, very new. And this is an exclusive, and I'm never share.
But it's okay.
But he understands. He understands the value. I would not be able to be with anyone that was not a hard worker.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't make sense to me, because you would not understand my life, and therefore you wouldn't be able to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he understands where you're going, your vision.
He understands
your future,
my vision, understands where I'm going, where I'm trying to go. He understands the daily hustle. And for me, that's what I need. I think in a partner, you need a home that just pushes you to go forward. That when you fail in front of the world, or things don't work out, because sometimes things won't work out, you have a place to come back to that will comfort you, but then that will say you still have a place to go.
Yeah.
Yes, this was a setback, but you still have a place to go. It's that accountability partner, and I think that's what's been very important for me.
So she's dropping more jams, guys, because you see, the people that you're around, they matter the most, guys. They can be your friends, they can be your family, they can be your partner, but they're ultimately your everything. Because who you hang around with is who you become. So your choice of company around you is one of the most integral things towards your success. It's been great, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know there's so many things to speak about.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not spoken about your health. Okay, let's talk about your healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I've been following you on social media. I'm seeing you putting in a lot of work, as in living a healthy lifestyle. Share with us about that.
It's not something that actually came from me when I was young. I've always been the type of person who was skinny, and I really didn't struggle with my weight much. But when I turned 29, sure, I was just not losing, and the weight was not losing me. Like, I was just not losing weight. Like, I would try anything, I would try my normal diet, and it's just, I think it was the time when my body was like, now you really have to work for your body. You have to work for your life, you have to work for how you want to feel. And I was starting to feel sluggish, very low energy. And then I decided, let me just try out this training thing. And it was a hit and miss for a long time, because with training, you have to navigate it until you find something that actually works for you. So you go to yoga because other people go into yoga and you find, that's not for me. Something else, until you find your rhythm and your groove. And that's what I did. I interrogated a lot of training regimens. I was training with different people until I found something that worked for me. And then that also leads to your food choices, because if you train that hard, if you go home and then you eat terrible, then you're just taking yourself 10 steps backwards. You might as well not train, because actually the food element is more important. My training was really not about anything else. I just wanted to feel good. I wanted to have energy for the things that I do, because they do require a lot of energy. I wanted to function at an optimal level. And so that became so important, that I eat well, that I train, because it gives me more energy and feeds into everything else that I do. Yeah.
And then before I let you go, one other conversation we had, you and I, earlier, was being beautiful.
Yes.
You were saying to me, at some point you kind of felt as if, not that it was working against you, because it'll always work to your advantage.
Yes.
Being beautiful does open a lot of doors.
Yeah.
But then you'd say sometimes you kind of felt like people were attributing that to your success, as opposed to the actual work that you put in.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're speaking about this at the end,
yeah.
when people have heard your entire story. Yes, share with me about that.
For a long time I felt that people weren't really recognizing my work. They weren't recognizing the strides that I was taking, and they were just saying, "Oh, she's so lucky. Oh, she's got another thing. Must be because she's beautiful." And there were comments that were like that were being thrown around, and it really, really tore at me because I know how much I work and I know how much it's taken for me to get to this point. But the only way that I could really, speak against that was to actually speak through my actions. And my actions have been to just work harder, and I think that's been the most differentiating factor about me is the hard work. But I think what was I going to say?
We'll talk about your beauty.
I was just going to say that beauty will introduce you into a room, but it won't sustain you. Yes, you'll get in, and people will say, "Come in, you're beautiful. Yeah, let's work with you." But from getting to one point to the next, to the next, to the next, surely it can't just be beauty. And for me, the hard work that accompanied that and the different strides and the continual growth proved to me, firstly, that it wasn't just because of my beauty that I had made it to this point. It wasn't because of anything. It might have been the initial thing, but the thing that has carried me through, the thing that I'm going to be known for is the hard work and the many milestones that I have been able to achieve because of how much devotion I've spent into my craft.
That is so incredible to hear you share as far as that aspect is concerned, because there's a lot of you beautiful sisters out there who might feel, "I'm beautiful, but I'm trying to knock on doors, I'm trying to do things, it's difficult, it's tough. Maybe let me just might as well end up accepting these blessings that are always hitting me up on my DMs." And it's incredible for you guys to have this opportunity here from another person who has had to live with those privileges of being beautiful, but how she's been able to not put her beauty forward, but to actually be a person of the word, the substance, the action, the actual work that you have to put in. What advice do you give to those younger sisters who might be on the brink of wanting to give up, and they're like, "Let me just might as well succumb to my beauty opening doors for me. Let me just go get blessings," or whatever?
Sure, you can't give up. You absolutely cannot give up. It is not an option to give up. I think that your time will come, but when it comes, the time now then is to really make yourself ready for everything that you're praying for. You're praying for opportunities. You're praying for things to come your way. You need to make yourself ready. So whatever craft that you're involved in right now, whatever it is that you want to do, perfect it. Put in the work, and those doors will open. I just think that everything is a result of your thinking, of where you see yourself, of what you want for yourself. I always say to people, have an internal GPS for your life. If you have a GPS, you put in the coordinates and you're like, "I'm going to destination X." Along the way, you can fall off the road, you make mistakes, you're a human being. But if you know where the end goal is, you're always able to veer back and stay clear and go towards the end destination. So know who you are, know where you're going, and then just stick to that and trust the timing of your life.
And that is such an incredible advice to the beautiful sisters out there, and the advice to the rest of us in Jigere Abba Normali.
Do you and do you well. My advice is to just keep your head down, work hard, and trust the timing of your life. I think it's a general advice. A lot of people give up before God is just about to do something great. I think if you just put your head down, if you work hard, if you trust yourself, if you persevere, all those ingredients add up. And one day you will wake up and you think, "Oh my gosh, that was so worth it. That was so worth it." You are worth the investment of your time into yourself, into your passions. And if somebody else is blessing you for the girls, if somebody else, those things are theirs. They're never yours. So what are you going to say is yours? What are you going to account your life for? What are you going to leave for your family? What is your legacy that is tied to yourself, that has nothing to do with what somebody else did for you? Those are the things that matter, and those are the things that you can look back and say, "Wow, I made myself proud." I own a house. I paid it off in a space of 2 years, and people will say, "What? You paid it off?"
Lovely, yes.
And I always say, no one owns a square inch of my house. So even if anything happened and suddenly the whole world decided they don't like me, I know that I have a roof over my head that I can call mine, And it's been such a great, comforting thing to say that I have things that I can call my own, that I've worked for, that I've sweated for, that I've denied myself certain privileges for. to attain. And that's why for the ladies I'd say work hard, because when you have your own things, it makes you indispensable, because you don't need another person, you know, in that way. You want them, but you don't need them. But you don't need them.
They can come on board and complement you.
If they,
but you're great in your own right.
Great on your own. Yeah, exactly. So it becomes a want as opposed to a need. Yeah.
Now, while we're still looking at that camera, we're gonna send you this video in 20 years. 20 years, I'll be a 61-year-old man. Yeah. 20 years from today.
Yeah.
You're probably sitting with your kids, probably a great child or two. I would like for you to now look at that lens as if it's a mirror. You're speaking to a 50-something-year-old self.
Yes.
What would you like to say to yourself there? But by the way, when I send you this video,
I'm speaking to my 50-year-old self.
Yeah, this is you watching on the other side. And maybe that time you're married, you've got your kids, or maybe some grandkids. You're watching this video this video was done back in 2020, 20 years ago. Just like when you say 20 years ago now, whenever, right? So what would you like to say to yourself?
I would say that everything that you are doing right now, everything that you have gone through is worth it. It's completely worth it. It's part of your journey. You have carried your journey well. So I'm talking to her.
To yourself.
To myself.
Yeah, an older version of you.
Yes. You are carrying your journey well. You've carried it with beauty, with grace, and with substance, and it will all add up, and your grandkids that are sitting next to you will be super fun.
And what would you like to say to the kids and the grandkids next to you?
Oh my gosh! I don't know. What would you say? I'll just say your grandmother is working super hard so that you never have to suffer, so that you never have to work as hard as she's had to work, but that you carry the legacy forward.
Wow, guys, Ayanda Thabethe. And lastly, you look at that camera. My name is Ayanda Thabethe, and I've just been hustled by DJ Sbu on the Hustlers Corner.
Hi, I'm Ayanda Thabethe, and I've just been hustled by DJ Sbu on the Hustlers Corner.
You see, guys, working with professionals, like just one take, you know?
Thank you. Oh my God, so great.
And I just want to see you keep on growing and rising and rising. You know, I'm a father of a little girl, like I was saying at the beginning of the interview, and seeing sisters like you is just so beautiful. With ingane zethu nama role model right, you know. Abantu abazenzela into zabo. So I'm proud of you. Thank you, my friend. Here we go. This is your book.
Yes.
The Game of Life by Florence Scovel.
Yeah.
The Art of Hustling.
The Art of Hustling.
Yes, that's yours as well.
Thank
what else is yours? This when your children in future ask you, Mama, what is Umzegeze? You'll say it's a 2-liter cold drink.
Oh wow.
That is yours. What else is yours? Your beautiful relationship.
Oh
Give him this bottle of vodka.
I can't believe you.
But come on. But come on.
Only you can get
We didn't say it, man. It's okay. So this is a bottle to you, bro. This is our sister. Please look after this sister, yeah? Please. And I've got no doubt you're an incredible brother. This bottle is yours. You guys enjoy it together.
Awesome.
And then, Nzotesha Umzegeze.
Vodka and Umzegeze.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You too.
Guys, you guys rock. You guys are dope. You guys are great. I hope you learned so much about how one has to carry themselves in this journey of wanting to achieve or building something. She's built herself as a brand, and she is still on that journey to build herself as a powerhouse, because you can do different things, or you can just do one thing and focus at growing it and making it bigger and better. She is a walking business on her own, as she is. And she just keeps on pouring out all these different ideas and branching out into other different aspects of opportunities that come her way. But for her to be where she is, where opportunities come her way, she's had to work hard and get ready for them. And she is ready for them. She dropped a lot of gems today. I think she inspired a lot of you guys. We hope your businesses are doing well out there. I know it's tough sometimes. I know sometimes it's great. But when it's great, think about the tough times. When it's tough, think about the great times that are coming and keep hustling. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Let your friends know about the podcast. This is a podcast that is designed to inspire a new generation of young hustlers. As you guys have seen, young people are doing great things with their lives. The question is, what are you doing with yours?